Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video lecture we will discuss the type of material we are using as dye materials. Okay, so this is our second part of dye material, so do watch the first part for better understanding. Okay, so first is our gypsum dye. So here the dye material we are using is gypsum, and here we are using type 4 and type 5 dye stone for making the dye. Okay, so now we will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this gypsum dye. Okay, so what are the advantages? They are inexpensive, they offer excellent working time, they require minimum equipment, and they are easy to manipulate, and they are compatible with all impression materials. Okay, so what are the disadvantages of the gypsum dye? So the disadvantages of the gypsum dye is they are not abrasion resistant. They have a very poor abrasion resistance. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of the gypsum dye. So now we will discuss the uses of this gypsum dye. They are used for making single dye for full crown preparation. Okay, so they are used for making single dye in case of full gold crown preparation. Second is they are used for making dyes for porcelain fused to metal. Okay, so basically they are used to make single dye. Okay, so now we will discuss the epoxy resin or polymer filled resin. Okay, so they are used to overcome the low resistance and low abrasion resistance of the dye stone. Okay, so these epoxy resins are either self-cured acrylic material or polymeric materials. Okay, and these epoxy resins are used with filler, and these filler are either metallic or ceramic filler. Okay, so this is all about the epoxy resin we are using as a dye material. Okay, in this picture we can see the dyes which are made from the epoxy resin. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of these epoxy resins? So in advantages we have they are more abrasion resistant than the dye stone. They are not brittle as dye stone, and they reproduce better details than the gypsum. Okay, and in the disadvantages of epoxy resins we have they have a shrinkage problem, and their compressive strength is also less than the gypsum, and they have a very long setting time, and these materials are incompatible with some of the impression materials like hydrochloride and polysulfide, and also these materials are toxic and allergic. Okay, so these are the advantages and disadvantages of epoxy resin. So what are electroplated and metal plated dyes? So here metal dyes are made by copper and silver plating. Okay, and these electroplated and metal plated dyes are used to overcome the poor abrasion resistance of the gypsum. Okay, so what are the advantages and disadvantages of these electroplated dyes? So in advantages we have they are more abrasion resistant and they have a high strength, and in disadvantages we have they are expensive as they are metals and they have a health hazards. Okay, they are toxic and injurious to our health, and also these kind of dyes require a special equipment. So what are metal sprayed dye? So as it is sprayed dye, here the bismuth and tin alloy directly sprayed on the impression. Okay, and then they will form a metal cell, and in the metal cell we will fill the dental stone. Okay, so in the metal sprayed dye we will spray the bismuth and tin alloy on the impression, and then the cell will form, and in that cell we will fill the gypsum. Okay, so what are the advantages and disadvantages of the metal sprayed dye? So in advantages we have these metal coated dye can be obtained rapidly and easily from a elastomeric impression material, okay, and disadvantages are they are not abrasion resistant, okay. So what are amalgam dyes? How these amalgam dyes are formed? So here we are using copper band as we can see in the first picture. Okay, so here we will make the impression in the copper band and then we will condense the amalgam into the impression. Okay, so this is the process by which we can obtain a amalgam dye. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of these amalgam dye? So in advantages we have they produces hard dye and they reproduce a fine details, okay. And in disadvantages we have they require skill to condense the amalgam into the impression, okay. And this is a time consuming process, and as amalgam has a high thermal conductivity they can cause sensitivity to the pulp, okay. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of the amalgam. So what are cement dyes? So for making cement dye we will use silicophosphate cement and polyacrylic acid bonded cement, okay. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of these cement dye? So in advantages we have they are harder than the dye stone, okay. And this in disadvantages we have they have a shrinkage problem, okay. And they are also brittle and they have a tendency to crack. As they are brittle they have a tendency to crack. They are